How did you get into like that kind of work, when you were growing up?
Back at it in hindsight, and I've always had an aptitude for drawing. And I think as that aptitude became more noticeable, I'd be praised for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that double reinforcement where I'd enjoy doing it and I'd receive praise for it. And then I would identify as an artist. And before you know it, that snowball has gathered, it's rolling downhill, and I'm going to become an artist.
This is Ray Felix at Bronx Heroes Comic-Con Live with our special guest, Ed Traquino, and Lance Mechanic is here with me as well. Take it away, Lance.
Oh, sure. Ed, now you came from England originally, and and you came over to live in the Bronx. I mean, how was that like different for you growing up in England and coming here?
Well, I lived all over London. I've lived all over Britain. The main thing was, I'm trying to think. Well, first of all, I came here and I moved into a part of a good family, which made the transition easy. Mm-hmm. I'm married too. I was a 90-day fiance,
mm-hmm.
and so the transition wasn't so bad. The two main elements were the obvious homesickness,
mm-hmm.
even though I don't really want to go back to London. And driving was difficult. It took about a year to get my head around the driving over here. Mm-hmm. Lack of income was probably the hardest issue, rather than getting to know the city. Because mm-hmm. I lived in London, I knew big, bustling, nightmare, frustrating cities. Mm-hmm. And I was happy with diversity. I was happy with high energy. I was happy being cramped together in close living quarters. But for me personally, it was a lack of money. For about the first year and 9 months till I got an agent, and then I was getting regular money in from drawing, and then I had a career going, and it was much
easier. Because I would think that, like, the transition from London to New York wouldn't be that bad, other than than certain things that are just part of being your home country, so to speak. But there's a pretty strong culture here, even for people from Britain.
Oh please, when I'm working with every advertising agency I go to, there's always a British quota. And I've worked on accounts too, and I'm working on a team of like 6 people and everyone's British.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I remember going, like, I had British friends and stuff, and they would take me to all the pubs in the city in New York. So it always...
Pubs, I don't miss pubs. I don't miss British food either.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, that's... I can understand that to some extent.
Very happy I came to this city though, Lance. I really am, because it's been good for me in New York. Mm-hmm. I struggled for 10 years in London to get my act together regarding my creative career. When I came over here, it was relatively quick. And the year and 9 months isn't quick. I mean, it was agonizingly slow at times. But I was very fortunate to get famous trains who are my reps, because they've been very good to me. We've been through each other's ups and downs together, me and my rep agencies. And it's good. I'm very fortunate to have famous trains and to marry the family I'm in, marry into the family I'm part of now.
And, and of course your profession is storyboarding. Can, tell our audience a little bit about what that is, specifically?
Well, traditionally, before society was locked down, I would go in, I'd be sent into one of so many different studios in New York. Some of the studios were surprisingly big, would be a whole top floor of a city block. Mm-hmm. And would be, for instance, one floor would be actually physical studios where you film stuff of varying size, and then you have a production office to various other tiny little production offices, maybe like 700 square foot. And there I'd work with a director, producer, writer, production designer, and then I'd draw digitally. For the first 2 years, it it was pencil and paper. That was a nightmare. Now I draw on digitally, and that's so much easier for storyboards, because storyboards is all about editing.
Yeah, I can imagine. No pencil, no trace pencil marks.
And also, using reference is so much easier digitally, obviously, because I can just literally draw over a JPEG and delete the JPEG.
Right. That makes sense. So you're not doing it double.
Yeah, I know. Digitally, the whole idea of going back to pencil and paper. Because the thing with pencil and paper was I'd draw like crazy on this commercial, and then I'd have to take the work home, scan it, clean it up, email it off. And that would take so long. And it'd be late at night. I'd have to tell my wife, I'm coming to bed. And I'd be there cleaning up practically. Anyway, it seems like a lifetime ago. I haven't really got a choice. It's either artist or some, I don't know what the hell I would have done. But then, so I came to the city and I had a stack of drawing. And I knew I could draw. And I was experienced in working as part of this creative team. And also in my early 20s, I spent about a year and a half actually earning regular money. I was earning a living as an editorial illustrator. But that didn't really take me far. I ended up working in retail for about 5 years. Then I met my wife and I came over here. Actually, I'll tell you what, one of the most helpful things was, actually my wife suggested it when I got here. My head was spinning, I just emigrated. She was like, why don't you just get on a Craigslist and to look for jobs for production artists and storyboard artists. I did that, and then before I knew it, I had quite a fat resume and diverse examples of actual New York-based work.
Smart.
And that's what got me Famous Frames. Also, Famous Frames is my second attempt. So if anybody's listening here, it seems these are all the things you learn as an adolescent. The whole point of it is you can't give up. When you give up, that's when you truly fail.
Right.
Because this isn't a career where you have to be young and pretty. Because I was 34, which is kind of old to get your career up and running.
Right.
So
still pretty young, I think. It's pretty young.
I know, but listen, dude, I'm going into these big high-profile firms as part of a creative team. I'm not the old man.
No, because a lot of kids are coming up, graduating every year, yeah.
And everybody's under 30, and they're working on a multi-million-dollar account. And I'm the oldest person there, sometimes by 10 years.
Wow. That's pretty eye-opening.
Yeah, but it's what they want, though, isn't it? Because for me, myself, I want to be working with people who are younger than me.
Right.
Because I don't want to be working in echo chamber when all the people I'm working with are miserable old 40-year-olds who are always exhausted and frustrated. I want to be working with young, ambitious, keen people. Right.
Let me ask you a question. When you approach a script, what goes through your mind? Do you play the whole scene first or in your head?
Well, I couldn't tell you, I was talking to the client about this,
Right.
I've been doing it for 12 years now, and it's all on rote. I look at the script. I think I just look at the script and I know how much I can do and how quickly it will take me. But there's stuff is going to be an issue, like perspective, stuff like crowd scenes. Even likenesses aren't an issue, what they used to be, because just find pictures of J-Lo.
Right.
From face on, from profile, from three-quarters, smiling, frowning.
Right. So because the internet helps a lot. So there's no you trying to figure it out, like focus it and reimagine it.
But there's sometimes you can't find reference. My last job I just did was for a commercial where a certain element of it. Actually, I mentioned it to Ray just before we were recording. It was a deodorant commercial. The whole point is deodorant. So it was about family members really being close to each other. There's no way I could have got for a reference for that because the body positioning, and everything was quite contorted and twisted up. And so that way I had to do the old-fashioned way where you just sketch it out. But even that is almost unconscious now. I just kind of do it.
Right. So you've reached a zen point in your career where it just happens.
Yeah, but a lot of it does depend on stuff like what mood I'm in.
Right.
And energy levels, especially with a family. sometimes
they're chasing boys around at the same time, you know. Like
yeah, in a good way. They're my children. These boys I'm chasing are my children.
Of course, that's what I meant.
Don't spread rumours, Ray. Okay, that's why I left Britain behind. The thing I'm trying to think, what's a few bits of sage advice I could give people who want to draw storyboards.
Yeah.
The obvious one is you have to be able to draw. No matter how digital everything is, you have to be able to draw.
Right.
One thing is you have to be able to draw, and you have to be reliable and professional, which is surprisingly difficult. I know.
Which is really important to drive home.
Which is absolutely insane, because some people, I don't know, some people think that you can get away with being some kind of flamboyant, difficult nightmare artist.
Mm-hmm.
Because you live in New York.
Right.
Full of people who can draw. So if you're difficult, you just don't get asked back.
Mm-hmm.
And you get replaced by the next good artist.
Right.
You can get paid quite well for being a storyboard artist on an hourly rate. So why would you make that more difficult for yourself? I think my job is a job of absolute privilege.
Mm-hmm.
I'm drawing in a professional industry. I very, very rarely meet difficult people. I mean, they're mind-blowingly professional.
Hmm.
So, I don't know.
What's your most challenging work that you've ever had to face? Like, what was the most challenging thing you felt that you had to approach?
Well, the drawing environment can be difficult. I was working on an interior furnishing commercial about 2 years ago. I was actually working on location where they were shooting.
Mm.
And it was shooting actual location in this beautiful bougie house in Jersey.
Mm.
And all the lights around. They had servers there to process stuff. So it was so cold. So cold. I'm drawing. I could feel I was getting a claw.
Cramp.
Every now and then, you might be working in an environment where, for whatever reason, the account is continually in flux. Like creatively, minds are being changed all the time. Or deadlines suddenly shift. And you've got like the end of the day to finish stuff which you were originally given 2-3 days to draw. The sun is like, and you know the quality is going to be damaged. Right. But you think, wait a minute, the client knows this.
Right.
So I just got to draw it, and to hell with it being crappy drawing.
Mm.
You know, it's a great industry to be part of.
No, that's cool. It sounds great. Sounds like you have a lot of fun there.
It's fun, but 12 years, sometimes I get tired, you know, and I yearn to do my own stuff. But that can wait.
Yeah, I hear that.
And in terms of specific niches you've worked in, you've done commercials, you've done, TV. Is there, and movies? Is there anything that you prefer in terms of those creatively?
No, well, for me, fundamentally, my first love, I love comics, but that's too vague a term. Comics. No, that's too niche. I just love drawing narrative, human-based narrative. I prefer drawing the comedic and the grotesque. It's really weird because a lot of my benchmarks regarding my creative development are British, and so much of it would go over your guys' heads just because even in Britain, a lot of my benchmarks aren't really known in Britain. I mean, do you guys know Deadline magazine, where Tank Girl started?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, that was so mind-blowing for me when it came out when I was about 14.
Mm-hmm.
I was about 14, 15.
Was that originally black and white, or did that come out in color?
Yeah, that was black and white. That was
I think it was black
the
and white.
dawn of digital production.
Right.
That's where Jamie Hewlett started, Nick Abadiz, the great Philip Bond. I was obsessed by him, and every now and then I pester him on social media. I pester him and his wife. I never hear back. That's understandable. And also, do you guys know this? I've quoted this before, the British magazine called Viz. It's
Viz.
really vulgar, anarchic, vulgar little comic book, but so
It's
funny.
like National Lampoon.
Yeah, kind of, but far cruder.
Right. Cruder than that.
Far
Jesus.
more, I mean, I can't, anyway, some of the jokes they made were just obscene, I know, but I loved that growing up. And Carl Giles was a British cartoonist from about the 50s, from about 60s, 70s and 80s. I used to love his work. He used to do these beautiful, vaguely comedic vignettes of British life. It was really textural because he'd draw it on a, I think it was like a heavy textured watercolor paper.
Right.
And he'd use crayons and quite heavy nibs. And it was really loose at times, but really, really vibrant. And you really felt you were there in the room of the people he was drawing. Almost like a British, oh my God, who was that Americana, great illustrator, American, who did all the Americana stuff?
You're talking about...
Yeah. The beautiful...
I know what you're talking about.
The beautiful babe. Come on, Lance, help me.
The guy that Alex Ross is always imitating him.
Yes,
Ross.
Exactly. You know, he's kind of like that, but rougher and more texture.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
I don't know why the word Mark Twain is in my head. It's like, no, it's not Mark Twain.
It's not an else. You know, talking about the one who did it like American Gothic or something.
Yeah,
yes.
Similar to him. Anyway, was that?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I think also was very important for me growing up. I mean, with a sense of mischief and.
Right.
I'm not sure historically if it got over here.
Yeah.
The whole Flashman Chronicles and his memoirs that were discovered in the 1970s.
Oh, really?
Because there was a huge, great hero of the Victorian era called Harry Flashman. There's all the history books. And he was like, this guy. And he was he just happened to be a part of so much of big Victorian history, like so many great battles.
Norman Rockwell. That's who
Norman Rockwell, that's it.
That's it.
Well, Harry Flashman, he was a big hero. In the 1970s, about 60 years after he died, some Scottish lawyer found his memoirs. And then he published it. There's a big hoo-ha. You can't publish these, you can't. And anyway, and when his memoirs came out, he was a very funny writer. And it also turned out he wasn't a great hero. He was, in fact, a terrible coward. A thief, a murderer, and a rapist. It just so happened that he got away with it all for years and years and years.
Norman Rockwell, rapist. Wow, he's like a Bill Cosby.
No, not Norman Rockwell.
I was like,
Harry Flashman. Not Norman Rockwell. Don't go spreading rumours about. No, but
Harry Fishman.
That was quite popular in Britain growing up, and I think I vaguely remember when his memoirs were published.
Yeah, that would actually make a great movie.
Yeah, that sounds.
I take to think of what you do with it anyway.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think about where's storyboarding going, and as far as like technology is going? Where do you see it going in like 5 to 10?
Like this now, I'm doing more with screen share like this, and it's the equivalent of the art director looking over your shoulder as you draw. It really is. And also, I'm wondering, so many of the studios downtown are just going to shrink. Literally, I wonder if you're going to have a small office and then a shooting space of maybe 1,000 square foot. And then an office space for at the most maybe 10 people.
Wow.
I have no idea how it's going to go. I mean, this is undiscovered country regarding specifically New York and advertising. Yeah. I wonder where it's going to be. I think I'm going to still have a job, I think, because people are still going to need to sell stuff.
Right.
But only commercial.
Yeah, well, because right now, like I know for like one of the few things that they could still do without filming on a set is animation, for example.
Yes, I know. Well, yeah. I'm trying to get my head around animation. I've been doing animatics for quite a while, but the thing is, Lance, I'm sure you know, I mean, the comics industry is going through a death and rebirth, and I'm wondering what it's going to be reborn as.
I remember in the 2000s, animatics was taking over comics at one point with those animatic shorts, and then they stopped.
So difficult to know what it's going, because I want to be where the comic industry is going to be in a year or 2 years. I want to be there now. But because I know I made you way too. I'm trying to make my comics digitally. Is strange because obviously digitally you have a fixed ratio, 16:9. And comics, you have an unfixed ratio.
Right.
And comics are drawn to be seen sequentially, but if you have this digital medium, why, and you have all these things you could do that digital medium that were literally impossible when it was printed. And so when the digital comics become animation, and have I now got to learn animation, which kids 20 years younger than me spend 3 years learning? 10 hours a day for 3 years. That's what I would be. Well, it makes my head spin thinking about it, about where I've got to be regarding my own work.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I've noticed, not just with like creative stuff, but pretty much anything, technologically speaking, is that you can learn. I remember the old days where you used to have to go to all these classes and have a stack of books to learn from. And, you know, and now, like, I envy anybody coming up now, because you could just like go on YouTube or any place and, you know, watch somebody visually demonstrate something. And if you're a good learner, pick up stuff.
Yes.
You know, almost automatically.
I think I have that on my side, you know, Lance, because I think learning wise, I'm not particularly a fast learner, but I'm persistent and I don't give up. You know, I don't know if that would be any better. Say if I was a fast learner but gave up easily, I don't know. But I don't learn too quick, but I tend to keep going, even though I'm struggling. But still,
art is a struggle. That's part of the process, right?
Yeah, but I'm 45. I don't want to be struggling anymore. I'm 46. I don't want to be struggling anymore.
46.
You know what I mean? I want it all to be given to me in a gold platter with my head rubbed.
Yeah.
Because also, you know, you too. I mean, you've got a young family, Ray. So you know what it's like. I mean, I have 0 time to spare. You really have. Literally 5 minutes is precious. So
it is.
I mean, also creatively. Anyway, when you're searching for a shortcut, whether it's practically creative or digitally creative, and then you go down a certain route to look for a shortcut to produce this certain part of your work more easily, then you get to the end and you realise that won't save me that much time. And I spent 2 hours trying to work out this shortcut. Otherwise, you have to go back to where you were that morning and do it the way you originally did it, which took long to. Anyway, it's part of the creative process, really.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because when I edit these films, sometimes I can spend hours on something that's literally 10 minutes.
Yes.
I mean, but along with the, I have a question, because I write screenplays, but when we wrote the scripts, they told us actually to not put in cut twos, to tell the director how to shoot, you know, a sunset or so storyboards. When you work, tell me the relationship you have with the director. Does the director, with the idea, does he tell you what he wants, or you show him the storyboard beforehand?
It's a huge variety, because sometimes I'm working on spec, where I'm working on pitch scripts, where it's just an advertising agency is trying to get, I don't know, Industrial Cookie to buy their idea. So I'm not working on director yet. I'm working with a producer, maybe some copywriters. And sometimes that can be really specific. Because it's commercials, it's visually and narratively, it can be, it's open season. Because you know how commercials, you can have the Geico commercials, which are like comedic action movies. Or you can have something like a mental health commercial, where she's just a woman in a kitchen rubbing her temple for like 30 minutes. And so it's incredibly varied. My experience of working on commercials is it's far more varied than working on movies or TV. It's all very much the same, but you're still working with a team, and it's still a narratively drawing, and you still have to give yourself room to creatively for minds to be changed at the last moment. That's just reasonable, because it's part of the job. And if you were in a creative position, you had a better idea and you had time to implement a better idea, of course you would. It doesn't matter if the storyboard artist is going to struggle. That's why I get paid. I get paid to draw and draw in difficult situations. So
it's I hear it's a collaborative event.
very, very collaborative. When they say jump, you jump. because it's a very like a little prince job, drawing in advertising industry, I think. So look what my parents had to do for a living. I look at how I have through me through my 20s, and I think, oh, this is an easy job. Even when it's difficult, it's easy. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think that 10 years screwing around in London really gave me perspective on what a privileged job storyboarding is.
Mm-hmm. And
too romantic? Is that too wishy-washy? I don't know.
No, that's fine. Keep going. So you got some demo stuff for us, or that you want to show us, or
Okay.
you want to share your screen with us?
Yeah, I will share my screen. I'll just take you to my agent's site.
Have you ever done anything for YouTube or TikTok? You think that's going to be the future of storyboarding?
No,
or
I could show you my YouTube channel after this.
okay.
But I don't know. Well, I figure I want to draw and I want to tell stories, and this is probably going to be my.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on. Oh, here we go, guys. Where am I? Oh Christ, what's this?
And you won an Emmy Award as well in 2006, was it, or you were nominated? 2008. So you were nominated for it. What commercial was that for? If you recall, he's like,
it was for something.
Surprise question.
ESPN, but I don't have the
ESPN.
storyboards.
So
Because
ESPN, you were nominated for that.
I drew it, and
Right.
then I left it ESPN, so they could. They hang on. It says.
Make him host again.
Yeah. So what are you going to show us, Ed? Where do you see in the next few years? Do you see yourself like? Do you think that the future of because you're saying it's getting younger and younger storyboarding? Do you
No, it
see
always
that
has been young. It always has been young.
Okay,
because
so you're just getting old.
You need to, because you need to be able to work like that. Because I'll get a call from my agent. Can you be in this studio in Manhattan in an hour and a half? Job
Right.
3 days. So if you've got a family, I'm very
Hard.
fortunate that my parents-in-law live in this building.
Mhm.
So if need be, I literally just open their apartment door and chuck my kids in and head downtown. But without that, I'd be kind of screwed.
Right.
That it's quite difficult.
I could imagine. Yeah,
It's
they're
always
telling you
been young
1
man's
hour.
game. Also, it's high energy
Mhm.
because it is drawing, but it's high energy because sometimes, like I say, you've got to be downtown like that.
Mm.
And a normal work day is 8 hours, but I can easily go to sometimes 12.
Mm.
But when it gets to 12 hours of continuous drawing, your head could go a bit, and then you go home, go to sleep, and next day it's the same thing.
So why don't you walk us through your process?
A big car incorporated will call my agency saying, listen, we need a guy downtown to draw commercials for your truck. Send us some guys. So, and my agency would then send them a list of artists that are available and have experience drawing, for instance, trucks in forests. And then, then the client can look through the work. See, these are loads of car commercials. These are just a few of the car commercials I've done over the years.
Mm.
You know, I did quite well on car commercials about 10 years ago.
Mm.
But now, obviously, the other thing is car commercials are one thing that seems to have been really affected by digitally, because when it was all pencil and paper, drawing a car quickly, with just pencil and paper, was a nightmare.
Oh yeah.
I understand geography and
Especially with the perspective.
But now, because now, you can just go to stuff like Sketchfab. Do you know these?
Right.
So you can literally just get a car, where I can just go truck, and then I can literally manipulate it. Then I can take a screen grab of this and just draw over it in Photoshop. So this makes it so, see, I can just.
Wow, you got it all in 3D there.
Yeah, and you can even change the camera slightly. Where's that aspect of it?
So in a sense, you are doing a bit of a directing as far as deciding camera angles and so forth.
Yeah, kind of. But what you do is you send the, I don't have here, which should have been useful for you guys, is just a sketched version.
Right. Is that in the script you do? Is it normal that they'll give you like a camera angle in the script?
Oh yes. You have, for instance, a close up, medium close up, cowboy, wide, narrow,
Or crane shots.
Zoom in, zoom out, crank, anything, dolly along.
Right.
But a lot of the time too, when it's in the really early stages of production, a lot of clients are quite.
But I notice you don't put arrows or the camera directions on any of your boards.
Sometimes I do, but a lot of the time, the director will prefer to do that themselves.
I see.
They'll ask me to do it if they want.
Because years ago, when I was an SVA and I was like trying to get into this field, they were really heavy on, oh, you got to put the arrows here and this and
you
had to be spot on with the camera angles and the shots and just
but the angles are more important because arrows is cosmetic. You can draw an arrow in like 5 minutes.
That's true.
5 seconds even.
Yeah.
And of course, this is a tire commercial. Oh, this is a black and white tone. What's this? This is something. This was an insurance. Actually, this job did my head in because I genuinely thought, because I got a job as Ed, are you available to draw something related to the colonization of Mars?
I think I've seen this one.
I really thought, am I going to be drawing for SpaceX or something? And like I say, but it ended up being an insurance commercial, and the gag was they used iconography from the colonization of Mars. I was
right. That looks. I think I've seen this commercial before. It looks very familiar.
No, I used to do a lot for country music television. I mean, tons.
Is that right?
Television, yes. What else? I did tons for country music television. What's this? This was a Geico commercial to do with country music television. What else we got here? Sport. I used to work tons for ESPN also. In various, but they do a lot. Because see a lot of golf commercials, a lot stuff like this. What we got here? That's so you can see the kind of stuff I do. What happens is I'm going to try and look for a sketch for you guys, because I think you'd find that useful. So I'll quickly get my. Hang on a second.
So you use like Photoshop primarily, or?
Yeah, it's all Photoshop, What's this? Oh.
Amount of green tea.
This is kind of what my sketches will look like.
Right.
You can see that.
Yeah.
But this is actually quite tight for the sketching. This is quite tight for the sketching. Normally they're much, much looser, Let's see, American Ballet. Oh Christ, I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of a way a lot of this stuff I shouldn't be allowed to share, but I'm a little bit new. I don't want to get caught out. I'm sorry, guys, if this is a little bit dull, a little bit.
No, it's not dull at all. I'm really excited. I love the way these guys are on sticks over here. That sports one where
you can even do an original piece right now. I mean,
yes.
Literally, I'm in my bedroom on top of a cabinet at the moment. Let me think. I haven't got any sketches here, but. And actually, no, that ballet one is pretty much accurate enough, But like I say, that's particularly tight, those sketches. And also, you can kind of cheat it too, because a lot of the time you can literally silhouettes are very useful. I'll just find a silhouette of man playing golf, and that will be my sketch. But then I've got to draw it. That could be an issue.
Like this basketball one, it's primarily black.
I'm just curious. Do you draw first on paper? And then digital?
No, all digital.
Straight to digital.
All digital. I find everything that way. Otherwise,
this is beautiful.
VW work.
You have like a sound barrier going through the golf ball.
This is more for I used to do a lot of beer commercials.
Wow, pretty cool.
This is some fun stuff for Fanta. There's a lot of time too when I used to spend I did a lot of hip hop commercials. Which I go in there and all ever go in there and
You did one with Kanye West, I recall, right? There was one with Kanye.
Yes. Where is that Kanye West? I've done some stuff for Kanye. I did some stuff for. I did quite a lot of Lil Wayne stuff, but that was all about 5 years ago.
Did you ever do that Lady Gaga one that you talked about before?
No, that was another. Actually, that was another great. This is the Kanye stuff I did. Lady Gaga stuff. That was another great artist I know from famous shows called Mike DeWeese. He's a fantastic artist. Stuff Lady Gaga. That's who was this? I think this was Little John and Kanye.
This is before his Trumpism, before his
What's this stuff? This was a real estate commercial.
I've seen this commercial too.
Things I don't really watch terrestrial.
And Comedy Bang Bang. I see you got there. That was a big show.
This was stuff for what show was this for? This was that show Search Party. What else we got here?
Great Bizarre Foods.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Have you ever met any of these people that on the shows as well, or?
No, never met anyone. I met one of the producers from Bizarre Foods.
Oh.
And I was a fan too. This is a bit. I was a fan of Bizarre Foods, and the producer came in, and I started infusing to him about how much I loved it. And I was talking about specific episodes, blah blah blah. And he gave me the side eye.
Really? He's like, fuck you.
Well, I think inside I was like, dude, I'm here to work. Stop
Right.
down-nosing. You've got the job. You don't need to prove anything.
Right.
I read some comic book stuff here, but
Yeah. Oh, talk about Pump and Jam. I love that book. Oh my God.
I sold about 12.
Genius.
Why is this anyway? There's the Flaming Carrot. That's not Pump and Jam.
Pump and Jam is a good book.
Quite a
I
fun
love that book. That should be a movie. That Pump and Jam should be a movie.
You get to do work as a part of with other storyboard artists, and this was one of them. This was for National Comic Book Day. I think it was for Verizon. People were texting in really brief story ideas, and we were just drawing along to it.
Is that right?
It was a live draw, and all these people, and this is some of the ones I did for that. Actually, a couple of them.
So people are texting in ideas, and you're drawing them on the spot.
Yeah, they were texting in. Verizon set it all up, I think it was.
Verizon.
It's the black and white. You know, Verizon has got that little
yeah.
black and white with a little red dash on it.
Pretty clever. It's a great idea.
Oh, this is a fun one that nobody. Do you know
Adam West.
Too Much Tuna?
Uh-huh.
That whole thing. That is with Nick Kroll, and you have two old Jewish men who go around New York complaining. And in this story, they meet Batman, 1966 Adam West.
That's great.
That's another one. I don't want to look at that one. I'm a little disappointed by my art on that one.
Pretty good stuff.
Oh, this is quite good. So you get a small version of the artwork on my agent's site, and then the client has the option to download the high-res stuff. I'm trying to look. I just downloaded my.
And you did a parody of Richard Simmons as well, right? Was that also in the Pump and Jam, or is that?
I don't know where that is. Yeah, I can't locate that right now. Because when I came to this country, I knew who Richard Simmons vaguely was. And when I got over here, you pick up on him in various parts of the culture, and you realise how we've talked about this, Ray. How many lives he saved? He saved probably over his 20 years millions of people's lives. Millions of people's lives.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
To get was ridiculed.
Yeah, I mean, I knew somebody. I mean, this guy has, years later since passed away. But I once worked with somebody who was who he had helped, who was like once the world's fourth heaviest person.
Wow.
Yeah.
He saved all his lives, and it occurred to me that, like I say, fourth heaviest person, Richard Simmons, saved his life. And how many people over this country and all over the world has he saved? And all he ever got was ridicule.
Yep, people made fun of his shorts and his hair.
And he's just, I'm thinking, what American was personally responsible for saving so many other people's lives? And he wore a goofy costume, and he was an icon. And I was thinking, there are so many parallels with Superman.
Right.
Of all people, with Superman. Daffy costume, an icon, saved all these lives. Great piece of Americana. And so I did this 2-page, which I can't find now, about how he was a part of how I know it just broke my heart when I got over here and I realised how disrespected he was.
Oh yeah, he was
being teased.
He was being teased, even publicly. He had to go into hiding.
That's a great shame.
He couldn't walk down the street. He was being publicly ridiculed.
How do you see the impact of things like TikTok and YouTube moving forward on this industry?
YouTube is very huge.
Right.
I think YouTube.
In terms of like things like storyboarding, for example.
I think the YouTube we have now is probably the YouTube we're always going to have to be. I want to learn. A lot of people maybe learned from, of all things, MySpace from like 10 years ago, where don't diversify, don't offer too much personalization. Remember that's when MySpace went crazy. You could put your themes on, your own graphics, and that got too complicated. And MySpace, I think more than actual what it can do, I think what's going to be more important is how it's controlled by the people who actually own it, like regarding censorship and stuff. And what is deemed harmful or hate speech, and which is another very difficult conversation. I'm still now working on changing how I think about digital media, because I'm 46, so I still think a lot of my mindset is still practical, whether it be print or broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
And no, this is digital, where things are much, what you can do, the opportunities are much more diverse and much more nuanced.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is difficult. Also, I'm terrified creatively. I think I've discussed this with you, Ray. I'm terrified of becoming crippled by tradition. Presuming something has to be done a certain way because that's the way I grew up doing it. When everything creatively is in flux. And like I said, that's one of the reasons I want to work with young, keen, ambitious people. So I don't turn into an old fart. I mean, everybody needs that every now and then. Serious, just an old bitter person who presumes that my generation was the last great generation.
Right.
What do you mean exactly the tradition to hold on to? I mean,
I mean, digitally, like, I remember, maybe the lettering in comics, that very specific, nuanced lettering in comics, where when it went digital, unfortunately, it did new to opportunities for certain people in the industry, the letters in comic industries.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't, unfortunately, I would say that wasn't enough of a reason to hate on digital comics. You know, to hate on digital lettering. Yes, unfortunately, it did hobble a lot of people's careers. But still, it also freed up a lot of people creatively.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah, I knew one guy who was a letterer, and when it went digital, it literally, he was telling me that he was making $200,000 a year. He had a staff of 21 people. He was translating all the foreign books from Japan, translating them into English, like Pokemon and all that stuff that was coming out in the 90s. And then to go digital, it was a really hard transition because he was so used to doing it lettering. I mean, he never got into vector with Illustrator. He did Photoshop, still does Photoshop. He never transitioned to vector. And as he got older, the jobs thinned out, and then the pay thinned out, and then he had to let go of his entire staff. And he became a staff of one, and now they're not even offering 50% of what they used to pay letterers.
Yeah, but comic industry is just in a very peculiar place right now. It's a great time to be in the city. I'm looking forward to the next 10 years, you know, because I think obviously the city's going to be in a lull for maybe 3-4 years. But hopefully it will really start picking up again. There's so much industry and ambition and talent in New York City. Mm-hmm. I think it's very, very easy for this city to get back into a healthy momentum.
We'll hope so, right? We'll hope we'll survive this COVID-19 stuff.
And got through crap before,
and
it's proven it has the strength to get through stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming on, and appreciate it. You know,
I didn't waffle too much, guys.
No, it's fine.
I'm not gonna watch this back because I don't want to. It'll break my heart. I was meant to get a haircut.
I'll get you one. I'll bring my clippers and give you one of these.
As much as I may torment Ray about
like a French poodle, right?
Ray knows it's because I'm jealous. I'm a bitter old queen who's jealous of. Look at that hair. It's almost vulgar how much hair he's got. It's gonna be 50 soon. Look at that head of hair.
I'm your age.
What pills are you taking?
Looks good. Looks good, right?
Don't show off. I'm standing here with receding hair. My hair looks like a mushroom. It's ballooned out at the side.
That's receding.
No, Ray, please. I'm going to put a cap on.
Yeah. Well, that's what I actually had to do today. I actually had to put a cap on.
Because your hair's growing too much.
Yeah. I mean, like on one hand,
free
it's
mohawks. I'm giving free mohawks. I'll go outside and give you. Look at this.
You know, here I thought I was like, here I was worried I was losing hair, and apparently not.
Apparently not. No. Thanks so much. Any last questions, gentlemen?
Oh, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks.
I'm hope you can hobble together something compelling, Rom, you know.
Hey, do you have pants on?
Got my tongue pointing out. There's all this time I've had.
I didn't know you were uncircumcised. I was like,
hey, I've been circumcised twice. It didn't stick. It grew back.